You are listening to Sprint or Die Radio, delivering the knowledge on all things speed training, coaching development, and life lessons. Passion perpetuates purpose. Here is your host, Hunter Charneski.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Sprint or Die Radio. I'm your host, Hunter Charneski, and two firsts today for episode 10. One is no script, and two is we have a guest. You all have heard me talk about him before. He's many things to me. He's a great source of inspiration for me. He is my best friend. He's someone that I can say that I proudly have mentored the past 2 years or so now. And who that person I'm talking about is Thomas Bose. Tom, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, man. Good to be on.
So as I said, we don't have a script, but we're just kind of shoot from the hip and see where this takes us for episode 10. We're in the double digits now.
Yeah, wow. I can't believe it's happened so fast.
It's like an actual podcast.
Yeah, it's like almost real.
Yeah. So let's start where any good story does, from the beginning.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Take us, let's go even before Freak Factory. Let's power strength. You guys ever heard me talk about my old job? Okay. Did the director of adult and youth development there, and Thomas also trained there as an athlete. Just the day you first had any interaction with me, your first experience with Hunter.
Okay, no, so I remember this. I mean, holy cow, I must have been maybe a junior going into my senior year of high school, and I think it was in the middle of the summer. I want to say or maybe probably end of June. And you were in there. You were training. That's the first time I ever saw you. You weren't coaching. You were in there. I think you were still in college, or you had your senior season coming up. Would have been 2013 probably.
So I came there right after my senior year was done.
Oh,
so
did you?
This is probably when I was still under the delusion that I might be good enough to go play NFL.
That must have been it then. Yeah, you were in there. I remember you were in there with some of their top tier guys. I mean, they're older college dudes, and you guys were just getting after it. But then out of that group, there was this crazy looking dude. I mean, at the time it was this kind of faux hawk mohawk action going down, super tight on the side, really short mohawk, and I'm like, okay, what the heck? And then the dude takes his shirt off and he's just covered in tattoos. He's got freak tattooed down his rib cage, a massive koi fish dragging on his back, and it's just oh my gosh, what the heck is this guy doing? And he's just screaming and yelling and just getting everybody in the gym just juiced up. And I'm like, holy cow, who is this guy? And that,
if you're gonna hear some things in this episode, okay, who have I been listening to the past 9 episodes? Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, it was nuts. We already had Metallica blaring. I mean, the gym couldn't have been more than 1,200 square feet. It was a tiny little gym, but I mean, this dude's voice just carried a presence over everything. I mean, you couldn't even hear the music when Hunter was yelling or getting ready to do his set. I mean, I'm just holy smokes, I'd never seen anything like it. And me being a soccer player as well, coming up, I mean, that was just so foreign to me. I mean, that was welcome to the frickin' show. I mean, you're in Satan's home. It was crazy. Honestly, I was terrified.
So if that was in the spring of 14, which it was, then how old were you at that time?
I would have been 17, turning 18. That was my senior season.
You're going into your senior year?
Yeah, I was in my senior year going into my freshman year of college.
Okay, all right. So you saw yours truly at the gym.
Yes.
Being my usual self.
Crushing it.
And then, how did it take us from there? So, you saw me. Did we have any interactions?
No, I definitely didn't say a word to you. I didn't want anything to do with you, to be honest. That was terrifying. I remember asking the owner, Mark, I was like, hey, what is this guy's deal? And then we had a couple other my training partners who were more my age. We would talk about dang, you see that guy Hunter over there, what's that dude all about? And then so I just started asking around and figured out he was a Grand Valley football player, was looking to possibly go to the league and see what he could do there. And we're all if anyone can make it, it'd probably be him, right? I mean, he's crazy. He had the mentality, he had the look, at least to me. I mean, I didn't know anything about football, I still don't, but yeah, it was nuts. And so I think over that time, you did your thing, you did your pro days, and then you actually just started coming back, and you were just still around. And then I stopped training for a while just because the season picked up for my freshman year of college. So I remember coming back in there during November, December of 14, and you were still there, but I think you were coaching at the time.
Yeah, I think I was just starting as my career there, or
Okay.
I was just ending my internship there. It was one or the other for sure. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so if that was November of 14, yeah, I was very much so in the thick of, getting my hands dirty and rolling up my sleeves and coaching there at that point.
Yeah, I remember we would always train, and then you would come in after to, like you said, you were kind of running the adults as well as the youth development there as well, and so I'd kind of catch you in and out. And I think as you became more kind of like on the staff and you were a part of the gym there, you started kind of introduce yourself, kind of reach out as the coach. I think that's how we started kind of develop a relationship there.
Did I ever actually coach you?
You've coached, during the summer. I remember, so that summer, 15.
Yeah.
You would help out with the college guys, and we would all be in there. I remember you'd coach, you'd grab your little group of guys, and we'd get off and running. We went, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Before I cut you off, where were you going after that? Before I cut you off about it?
We were just talking about how we had started to have more dialogue back and forth.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, super brief, just, hey, how you doing? What's going on? Like, you've been crushing this, or what's new? And then kind of short, brief, and then we would move on, and you'd go do your thing, I'd do mine. But, yeah, I just remember being drawn to you. I remember there was one time, actually, I worked out with you guys as a staff. So I worked out with you and the coach. It was just me. It was like a Wednesday or a Friday morning. And we did just a sweet upper body, just, total bro workout. It was a lot of fun. And then we all went on out after, and we all got the IHOP right there on the belt line up in Grand Rapids. But I remember that was a ton of fun. And I was like, holy cow. Like, it was almost like surreal just to be around people like that, because that was like my dream. Like, I idolized you guys. I wanted to be just like you guys, where you just get to coach and get to train and just looked like you guys were living the best life. So I wanted in on that.
Yeah, it was. It's so funny to think some of the things that you remember, because I barely remember that.
Oh
day.
man, clear as day.
I mean, because we did that often, whether it was at IHOP or a Chinese buffet in Grand Rapids called Ming Ten.
Oh yeah,
and we would that sort of the thing is whoever wanted to stay with the staff can and train that Friday late morning, early afternoon after we got done with our staff meeting, and then we would all go out and eat our weight in sushi or pancakes, whatever the mood called for that day. So, if we're in the middle of 15 now, and if I remember correctly, once I was getting more and more coaching hours under my belt, I would see you during when I was coaching. Because hadn't you just started an internship there, or you were looking? Because I remember you with the notepad.
Oh yeah,
sitting down.
Yeah, I do remember that. So that was, I remember there were a few times within college where I could use time at the gym for classwork, and so I was doing some more kind of field work style, just kind of taking notes and describing a session. It was more of just kind of for an essay that particular time. But after my freshman year was over, going into my sophomore year, I spent a lot of time kind of just asking them around the gym, be like, hey, is there any way I can just kind of watch and learn? Because I knew what I wanted to get out of it, and I knew that moving forward, I wanted to know as much as I could. I knew school, it just didn't feel like it was right, the stuff they were giving me, and I'm just because I was so used to training and good training, at least at the time, and so looking to that, I wanted to just kind of increase my knowledge and see if I could just get a little bit more and just get closer with that group, because I mean that was a spot that I loved, and that kind of got me. That's what bit me with the iron bug and whatnot. And so I mean that place will always be a little special. So trying to get involved more was kind of my way of just trying to learn for myself, but then also just give them free help in any way possible.
Yeah, because that was the extent of you and I's real interactions is when because I would remember just looking over your shoulder and seeing what you had written down or anything like that, whether it was the warm-up protocol or how we program for the weights and stuff like that. But again, still not that whole much interaction between you and I.
I would not say we really had a relationship, more of an acquaintanceship, if that, I don't know.
Yeah, and so, that as we round out 15 and begin now early 2016, I had just left that job. And from then, it wasn't too long after I left, which was January of 16, that Freak Factory was then born on May 2nd of 16, right? And then I had officially opened a gym and doing some training there. And actually, if there was somebody I did have interaction with at Power Strength in my old job, was Jack Collins. And when we had started, Jack was one of the first athletes, and so he was in the college group, and you had come over then. Once or twice in the summer.
Yeah, I did. I remember talking to him because he was coming back from school, right? You said it was 2016 in May, right when everyone's getting out of school. And so as that college group was starting up, I remember he would always reach out to me because I was pretty good friends with him at the time, and he would ask me, do you want to get in on this? And I was like, yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, like, it's far away. Like, I got a commitment to this other gym. Like, and so I ended up not really doing it, but I do remember one time Jack brought me along to do an energy systems day with you guys, and that was the first time I'd ever done any energy system training, and that was brutal. Like, I remember thinking to myself, this is unlike anything I've done before in my life.
So when Thomas says we did an energy system day, if anybody's familiar with Joe DeFranco or the CPBS certification, Joe has in his book, I think, Advanced Train for Today's Athlete or something like that. So it's him, Cam Joss, and Smitty's newest book, but in there they fully detail out an energy system workout. And basically what Joe did one day is he sat down, he watched an NFL football game and took the average of the plays, which is, anywhere between 4 and 6 seconds, maybe 9 if it's like a longer play.
Yeah.
But and then he would just plug him into a workout, whether it be sled pushes for 6 seconds or tire fighting for 9 seconds, or short sprints on a treadmill for 3 seconds. And he had anywhere between 20 and 30 plays, right? Those 6 second quick hitters in a quarter.
Yes.
And then you guys would get a 5-8 minute break, whatever they called for between the sets and such. But all in all, folks, what we're talking about is Thomas and the other college guys went through around 90 plays total. And so we were literally trying to simulate a football game, or that's what Joe was doing. And I'm not so sure how I feel about those now. Looking back, I mean, I thought that was like the shit back then. And, and I'm just like, now what we know now, it's like, man, that was probably pretty stupid.
Oh yeah. So we definitely could have done that better for sure. At the time, I was like, all I knew is just kind of that if it sucked, it must have been really good for you. And and so anything, a huffy puffy, almost, wanted to puke the whole time. In between the plays, even and like the quarters, I remember you'd call it out, we'd blow your whistle, whatever, we'd go, and then we'd stop, and then I would literally just try to crawl to my water, take a swig, and then just kind of crawl, and then it'd be like, all right, let's go, you got 5 seconds, and then get up and go. And that was, brutal. I thought I was in good shape, and I was sorely wrong for that. Yeah, for sure. For that, but definitely could do it a lot better now, I think.
Yeah, from the programming side of
come
things,
a long way.
Yeah, but so after that, then you and I had a workout together.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember, this is funny because, now I think it's funny looking back. You texted me, you said you had a DE upper session. I remember I texted my friend, I'm like, dude, what is he talking about? But that was your dynamic effort day when you were powerlifting. And so I remember I came in and we just did an upper body session, and then we sat in that back office in Pete's barn and talked. Yeah. Kind of about moving forward and what you wanted to do with Freak Factory, what I was looking to do in terms of an internship, because I remember what I saw from you when I went to go work out with you the couple times I did, it was more of like, I'd never seen anything like this. This was new, and it seemed, and you were giving out a lot of free content, even on Instagram at the time, and just like a lot of just kind of Q&A answer stuff that I was like, wow, it's really cool. Like, I've never seen anybody do this before. And so I wanted to be a part of that. And I knew, knowing your personality and your work ethic in the weight room, I knew that was going to transfer over to business. And so I knew you were going to do extremely well. And I just wanted to be a part of that and help you in any way I could.
Yeah, and was the workout before or after you and Jack? You talking about Q&As? Was that before or after you and Jack came over to my apartment? And
that was even before, because even during that summer when I wasn't training with you,
Okay.
you were posting a bunch of. I remember every Friday you do like a Q&A session, and you'd throw up some sweet videos, and even you. I mean, everything you did with all your athletes was always on film, and you filmed everything, and you'd post it, and you'd. I mean, every single exercise, even with Matthew Judon back when you had him for a while, they were getting him ready to go out to Baltimore. Yeah, that was sweet. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that was that drew me big time, because like seeing how you ended, like you really explained everything, even to your athletes and stuff like that, and I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, and so when you began your internship, it was in a lot of ways baptism by fire.
Oh yeah,
right. Whether it was my mood,
yes.
or just getting, or you knocking out my apartment, right at 6 a.m. to go train with a combine prospect at the time, DJ. Either at the gym or at Grand Valley to use the indoor facility.
Yeah, those were that was intense. I didn't think I really knew what I was getting myself into at the time, but I remember that was going to be most of my year. It was basically pretty much a full-time internship with you guys, and so I just remember I'm just going to see what we do. This is what you do to be a coach. I guess is what you need to do. And so I remember getting up at like 4:30 to come out there, because it was probably like a 20-minute drive, but then Michigan snow, it's like an hour drive. So make sure I got there in time, and just getting in there, making sure I just did my part really. I mean, it was crazy. It was like you gave a lot more responsibility to me earlier than I thought you would, and I think that was kind of out of necessity, but also I think you saw something in me that I definitely didn't see in myself either. Yeah,
I mean let's talk a little bit about that. Like as far as just talk about talk about how you were socially before you came in the gym, and just seeing where you're at now. I mean, you wouldn't even be doing this right now.
No.
Yeah.
No, not even a chance. But I was always just kind of kept to myself. Had no socially, just kind of quiet, reserved. Did not like to reach out. Did not like to conversate with people I wasn't really, really close with and didn't really trust and know. So I think you kind of forcing me to develop relationships with athletes and putting me in situations where I had to be good, and I had to be good with communicating, and even that's so much a part of coaching that I think not only transferring that to both my job but both my life. That was cool to see. That was kind of something that I just was so bad at, and just had no idea what I was doing in terms of just how to develop, even start a relationship with someone new, especially kids that trying to connect with some of them, older or younger, whatever the case may be. It was tough, and so it was interesting to see how even just the conversations we would have outside of the gym, or even just during training sessions in between sets, would really just kind of push me and make me think, and you'd kind of just give me all these tips, and almost like you were cueing me how to just be a better conversator, and it was cool. It was awesome.
Yeah, and for you said you had seen something in me. This is what I saw in him, right? Like I said, the young man that came into my gym over 3 years ago, he couldn't even look me in the eye, right? And now here we are, Thomas is putting himself out there, right? We're on a podcast now, right? It's now it's just par for the course with you. This is who you are, right? When you talk about developing relationships or starting relationships with kids, you guys can just look at the way this guy is with kids these days. They love him, right? What percent of the gym now would you say is youth?
Youth
under 15?
Under 15? I don't know. 85%.
Yeah, 85% of Thomas's business is now 85% under the age of 15, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have the relationship component down with that age group, it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Yeah.
Right? So where were we just now? So we were interning, working out together.
That would be the winter of 2017.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So early 2017. And so combine coming, so you would get you doing that stuff, and then in the spring, once school was getting out, then I hired you.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So then May of 2017 is when I think that was when I was an official. You put me as the DOP.
Yep.
I remember that. Yep.
Yep. Director of performance for sure. And you had not, like, how much responsibility did you have now at this time?
At this time, we were doing programming. I remember I would program out, you would edit it, and we would talk about it, and you basically just asked me why and made sure and just kind of challenged me on things. But there's also times where you just kind of let it roll too. It's like you knew that I kind of needed to learn by making mistakes where I'd program in. I remember this clear as day where one time I had programmed in like dumbbell rows for a group of like 8 to 13 year olds, and that in that space at that time it was a complete disaster. And I remember this look you gave me at one point in the workout, like you know what you did. And then it was just, and like it wasn't like you were coming down on me, but it was like, yeah, like I hope you learned your lesson because this was a terrible idea. And because of that we got better, we learned from stuff like that. But we was basically, if you had other obligations, whether with the Grand Valley at the time, whether it was football or basketball, you'd have to go off and do that sometimes and just leave the sessions with me. And that was kind of my role. It was just kind of trying to be at every group.
Was that frustrating? Was that frustrating for me to have you learn that in that way? Like,
I guess I didn't really know any different.
Making mistakes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm one of those people who double, triple check, make sure like it's 100% right. I'll still to this day reread an email like 4 times, but just because I want to make sure everything's good to go. I want to make sure I'm doing everything right, and that's always kind of how I've been. And so like to fail often was just like, talk about a way to develop character. That to me was probably what made such a big change in my life personally. It was just that having to fail and be okay and just know that perfection is just never really attainable anyway.
Yeah, and what data is there to collect from a success?
Exactly, right. Yeah,
right?
You only learn through failure. So.
Yeah, so it's it's a saying, it's not gonna bother me, but failure is what did a lot of your development from the exercise side.
Yes.
And then you also said even from a human being side, right? There's I don't know how many times you and I have talked either on the phone or in person about the obstacles of the way.
Yes.
Right.
So often.
Yeah. So so now that we're in the middle of 2017, you're a full-time coach, and what other moments or anything like that you want people to know about this side?
2017.
As far as either with your experience or like something like, hey, this is something that you guys don't know about Hunter, like this, like,
oh man.
So or yeah.
So 2017, summer 2017, we were getting ready for the state meet coming up in October. I remember that's when you hired out Matt Wenning to do a program for you online. Okay. And I just ran it with you. Mm-hmm. And so 23 weeks out, we're doing German volume training week 1, 10x10s with second and a half pauses in the hole. I remember just brutal workouts that and you were at the time, I think you were sleeping like maybe 3 hours a night, 3-4 hours a night. Yeah. You were getting after it, making sure the business was set. And so at the time, you were very easily agitated, I would say. I think that's...
I don't know what he's talking about.
I think that's being generous too. But so just the aggression that would come out when we were lifting weights, especially heavy weights. Then that was your thing. You were 285 pounds. You were a monster. Mm-hmm. And so that was a learning experience. Just watching you do that would definitely scare me a lot.
What any good freakouts?
Any good freakouts? My first week as an intern. So if we backtrack just a little bit here, you had just ordered a VBT clip that you put on the end of the bar. Collar. From I think it was like the Form VBT collar, and I had like a little app and whatnot. And you were getting ready. This was for the combine, where you want to do a bunch of VBT work within your system. And so it wasn't working or whatever. And I want to say like we had tried it like 4 or 5 times, and we were just kind of just.
Well, yeah, we had the fucking collar on the bar with the weight and my app on my phone. and we're going up and down with the damn thing, and the VBT, the meters per second, wasn't registering.
Yeah.
And we had a combine guy coming in that day for his first session. It's my first, like, besides Matt Gion, it's like my first, like, real, like, project. Because Matt was a shoo-in. No matter what we did with him, right? So, but DJ was a little bit of a longer
Absolutely.
shot. So I wanted to do it right. So and then apparently I really needed to have fucking VBT.
Oh man, I mean, you needed it so bad that he took a 2.5 plate and just whipped it right into the wall. And at the time, the way the walls were at this gym, they were like drywall, so it was like a normal house. And so there's just this plate sticking halfway out of the wall. It's like, I swear to God, and just whips it so fast. And then just carries on with his set like nothing happened. Me and Mary Kay, the other employee at the time, we just look at each other like, oh, okay, that's how it's gonna be. And so it's like, all right, well, let's figure out a way to make this work before you come back from lunch. Like,
is there any confusion or wonder now why I was so drawn to Jojo Ken? I mean, some of the stories you hear about him freaking the fuck out at Utah or Boise State or Arizona State as a strength. Oh my God! I mean, well, when I was visiting at Arizona State, their staff, Leanne Blinn used to work with him while he was back in A-State, and she said, I mean, like, Kyle's fucking crazy.
Really?
Yes.
No way.
Just would, absolutely lose his shit. Absolutely loses shit.
I had no idea.
And now as I hear Thomas tell the stories, I'm like, it kind of sounds like somebody we would know.
But you would lose it. There were times where you would freak out. Never on athletes. More so just on what was happening to you at the time. Just something small like that. No, it was interesting to see. It was, I mean, that then compared to now, you're so much more. You kind of let that roll off you so much easier. Whereas before, I mean, you were pretty high strung, pretty high tempered dude.
I wasn't a happy guy.
No, not even a little bit. No, you were miserable.
Those were dark times that Thomas saw me, yours truly, and I was not the best human being at all. So I give a lot of the credit to who I am now because of the man that's sitting across me, right? I mean, he was there every single day during, like I said, to these freakouts. I would just lose my mind and then, go about my business like nothing happened. Like, that's not a happy person.
No. So. You were not happy. It was tough to see you, because there were times where you could tell you were like happier in other circumstances, or like something went well, or we had a good week, or whatever the case may be, and then you'd see you were happy at the time, and then that would kind of fade away quickly, and you're back to your old self, and it's like, oh, I wish we could get that guy back. Yeah.
And any conferences? Oh, so let's go a little bit forwards, right? Then to the spring of 18, right? Yeah. Or was there the spring of 18? We took you to Westside.
Yes. Yeah.
You wanted to meet Louis.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was awesome. I remember we walked in there. It looked like it was closed, and when we walked in the door, there was one of his coaches right there, and you were like, "Hey, is Lou in the back?" And we're like, and he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Hold on one second." He went out, and like 5 minutes later, he came back, and we're just sitting there. He's like, "Yeah, he's in the back. You guys come on back here." And so we like walked back through all like the shirts and all the gear they had back there, and went into this back room, and there's Louis just sitting there yucking it up with some guy, and he just let us hop in, and we sat there for like an hour and talked to Louis about speed, a lot of speed stuff, and his thoughts on that. But that was so cool. That was awesome.
Yeah, because I had been there the year before.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And we, and both of us still at that time. I mean, we loved Conjugate.
Oh yeah.
Loved it. Yeah. Loved it from a training standpoint. Loved it from like how do we take this aspects of this and put it into our program with the kids, right? But given our training background at the time, meeting Louis for you was a big deal. Oh,
it was huge. Yeah, I mean, we were still powerlifting training. At least I was. At the time. So I was still running kind of like a raw Conjugate style approach, and so like that was sweet. And any way, I mean, I was so into strength and just like how can I get all my athletes as strong as humanly possible. So I mean, he was the guy, and being able to meet, I mean, the king of strength, like that was sweet. Mm-hmm.
And then what other conferences? So anything meaningful to bring up about not just that LEFTS had a bad conference, but anything memorable to talk about there?
No, it was good. It was good to see. I mean,
you asked Jim Wendler a question.
Yeah, we talked to Jim Wendler about high school athletes, and I remember that. was terrified. Hunter actually made me. He texted me. We were sitting in the crowd. And I look at my phone.
Forget about that.
He's like, if you don't ask Jim Wendler a question, you can't come home with me or something like that. And I was like, oh geez. So he was my ride. And so I just remember I was just racking my brain to think of something, and then somebody asked him something about high school athletes. Like, oh, that actually gives me an idea. And then we were able to, I think it was something stupid about how to, it was training session organization, how does he lay it out?
Yeah,
something stupid.
And he couldn't see you at first.
Oh yeah, he's like, hey, stand up. And I'm like, oh shit. But
look into my eyes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But no, that was good. It was cool to see Coach Ken's presentation on Olympic lifting, because that's something we just don't even touch at our place. But
push, jump, punch.
Yeah, he did a really good job with that. And then we ate lunch with him too, which is sweet. That was cool to hear him talk, give his spiel, But
he's a different cat too.
Oh yeah,
he's easy. Yeah. He's good people, but he's a different cat.
He's hilarious.
Yeah, for sure. What other any
we went to physical prep twice.
Okay. Yep.
I think when we went in 2017, that's when Andy McCloy he gave his presentation on the 5 C's.
Yep, and that was Lee Taft for the keynote all day.
Absolutely.
This with the talk about a sweet gig this guy had, right? I mean, we went to Denver for a speed mastermind, and then we're playing fucking Top Golf with Derek Hansen later that night.
Yes,
right. So
that was amazing.
Not a bad gig.
As an intern,
what were you laughing about?
Oh, that speed mastermind. We went at the time when I went. We were actually just talking about this the other day. I wish we could go back, but at the time when I went, we were.
Oh, just knowing what you know now.
Oh
back
yeah,
then.
yeah. Because I was telling him. I mean, everything at that summit. That it was the Play Speed and Power Summit. Was that what it was? Or was
the Play 2017 Mastermind?
Yeah, the Speed Mastermind.
Yes.
So all these guys are talking about speed and plyometrics and all these things. I mean, zero clue.
Who was there? So Dan Paff, Lauren Lando, Brett Bartholomew,
or who's the guy from Oregon?
Jimmy Radcliffe.
Was
Derek
there.
Hansen.
Yeah, and then Derek. Mm-hmm. And I mean, even some of the people who went, like Bobby Smith attended, and we talked to him about his jump. I mean, stuff like that. And then it was at Landau's place, so I got to meet with his staff. But I mean, holy cow! I mean, everything directly over my head, because what I knew was I knew how to bench, deadlift, and squat.
Oh yeah,
that was it. And so,
I mean, you just got hit over the head,
man.
Drinking from a fire hose.
It was
Jimmy Radcliffe, Lauren Landau, Derek Hansen, and then
overwhelming.
And then you hear Dan Paff, and dude. I mean, anybody who's seen Dan Paff give a presentation, holy shit, try and keep up.
Gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
The videos, I remember the videos he had.
I mean, all of his
happening to the foot.
Yeah, watching film backwards, okay, yeah, you can just put your head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye at that point if you're an intern, right? Holy hell. But so then summer of 18, we had a really good summer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a good year.
Yep. And then I remember because I had visited my mom in Arizona during that time. And then when I came back, right, this is, correct me if I'm wrong, but when I started to notice something was going on with it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, what was that?
Yeah, I think at the time it was a lot of things, but I think if I remember correctly, that's kind of beginning of summer, towards the end of the fall. So I just graduated college.
Yep.
But I felt like I don't know if you want to call it burnout, if you want to call getting bored, or just kind of I felt like as a coach I'd kind of stalled. I wasn't as into it. It was more becoming a chore, and so I kind of started almost to resent it a little bit. And I just remember wanting to feel like I was doing something more, because I felt like every day was the same. I was kind of getting sick of it.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, it's Tuesday, and this is my third day 2 workout.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
There was no real. I didn't feel like I had a purpose. I knew I was coaching and I was helping these kids and I was helping these adults at the time, but It wasn't, for me, it wasn't rewarding, and it wasn't enjoyable. And so I started kind of looking into other options and kind of just thinking about a higher car, what my purpose was, and why was I here? Am I supposed to coach athletes and adults the rest of my life, or what was it? So I started asking myself all these questions, all these deep kind of scary questions, honestly. And it's just I just didn't know who I was. I didn't have an identity. I felt like kind of at the time that I was just kind of piggybacking off of your success and all these great things that you were doing, and I wanted something that was like my own. You know, so
in terms of what, Thomas? Was it something tangible you could hold in your hand?
No, I couldn't figure out what it was. It was just I wanted to be, whether it was I wanted to be known for something or whether I wanted to just have something that was like, yeah, like this is Thomas. Mm-hmm. Instead of being like, oh, like that's Thomas, he works for Hunter at Freak Factory, or it's oh, that's Thomas, he's a coach here. I wanted something that I could be like extremely, extremely proud of. I think. Yeah. And so I began kind of searching around for that. And my whole life growing up, I was super, super into like American history, and more so the history of just how war and all that stuff happened. And very intrigued. And so people like veterans and like first responders have always been like kind of my heroes, because I would get into all these ridiculous, crazy stories that were all true about stories from war, stories from first responders, and all these great heroic people doing things that are just larger than life. And I mean, that's what I looked up to, and that's what I aspired to almost. But I never kind of gave myself permission to do that because I didn't think that was for me.
And then this was also during the time where you just were just chugging back Jocko Willing podcast.
Oh, crushing Jocko's podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, but all his books. I mean, if he came out of his mouth, I've heard it. And definitely at that time.
Yeah, I mean, because if you weren't listening to it when you pulled up, right, at the gym, I mean, I could tell you were doing it because you were always check.
Yes.
Check.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah. I rode that train extremely hard for a while there.
And so then one day I had sat you down after this had sort of been brewing for a while, like this sort of like, you know, your boredom and your questioning what your purpose was and all that stuff. And I sat you down and what did I say to you? I said, Thomas, have you ever heard the saying that there are thousands of rock climbers trapped inside people working at FedEx Kinko's? And you looked at me and you're like, no, I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
And then I leaned in and I said, do you want to go kill bad guys?
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
And I remember I told you, like I actually had already depped into the Navy, or I hadn't, it was either I depped in or I'd met with a recruiter. I can't remember at the time, but
I thought you had met the recruiter when I was seeing my mom.
Yes. Yep. I think that's what I did. Yeah. Cause you were gone seeing your mom, and I remember I had called them on like a Thursday, and they said, can you come in tomorrow? I said, yeah, absolutely. And so I went in and I got that taken care of. And basically, I think I told you I had a date set out that I was going down to kind of sign the paper and make it official. So I think that was partly like a lifelong kind of dream / aspiration, but it was also kind of, I think it was a very rushed decision and wasn't the smartest thing on the front end. I should have given myself more time, but it was something I really wanted to do, and at the time I felt almost like kind of trapped, and like I just needed to go do something before I kind of rather than worry about that the rest of my life and be like, could I have done this when I was 22, best shape of my life, blah blah blah. You know, you say it, you name it, I thought it. So
yeah, and that was, you know, maybe not even 2 months later, then, you know, I had to make a really hard decision.
Yeah.
As a business owner.
Yeah. The right decision.
Tell him.
So at the time, Hunter gave me nothing but full support throughout this whole process. I remember it was, tough, right? I mean, we'd, like you said, every single day for the past 2 years, we'd been by each other's side doing anything training related, anything coaching related, anything life related. Everything we did together. So regardless of that, still super, super supportive of me, supportive of the path I needed or anything I needed. He was helping me get it, and whether it be training or just resource wise, but I think I definitely took advantage of that, and I started to neglect people at the gym and my ability to coach. I kind of let that go by the wayside because I was so invested, and my mind was always about joining the Navy and going off and trying to do that thing, that my work clearly started to suffer. And even so much so that I think you started to let it slide a little bit. and kind of turned your head for a minute there, but then it got to the point where it was unacceptable. And I remember you sat me down at the gym after one of our meetings with the rest of the staff, and you had said, like, I love you, but this isn't going to work out right now. I think it was by October. It was middle to end of September. I think you gave me 2 or 3 weeks.
September 29th was your last day.
Yes.
Because that's when Carissa started.
Correct. So that was tough, but I think it was ultimately the right decision and the best decision.
Yeah. I mean, that was very, very tough that day. And, I think it says a lot about us as people and as human beings that we were able to, remain friends.
Yeah.
After that.
Yeah, I think it brought us closer together, to be honest. I think because we no longer had that work relationship.
Yeah, well, I just knew where your heart was at the time, and I said, you need to, stop coming here and put everything into that.
Yeah, and you were right, and I think, that gave me so much confidence even, and like I said, our relationship grew so much stronger because of it, because we were able to just kind of do all the good things that we want to do, and none of the work things, none of the hard conversations. Really, we got to know each other better. We could have kind of deeper discussions because there wasn't like this, I'm your boss. Not like that really ever stopped us before though, but I think that definitely made us closer.
Yeah, and so we would still train together in the mornings, and for the most part, sometimes, because you're obviously your protocol is way different than
it was
mine at that point.
Night and day really.
And so you're in the Navy and then you're in the Navy. Fast forwarding.
Yep. February.
And we just pull the curtains back a little bit, like if you're comfortable, and like, well, how was that experience? What did you get out of it? We talked maybe once, twice a month.
Yeah.
Once you started getting phone calls, like he's in prison, he started getting phone calls.
It was an interesting. A life-changing experience for sure. That was 5 months that I will never forget, and I think it was.
You went in, you went in wanted to be a SEAL.
Yes.
Yep. And then, you're in from everything from getting yanked out or all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. The first week of boot camp, I got hurt. So what happens is I know for those of you who work with Hunter, he's a big PST prep guy. So at the time, the PST was like my life. I mean, all the scores, like I knew all the best, I knew all the worst, I knew what I had to get, I knew how to try to improve mine. And so as soon as you get on base, like you get about 5 days to process in, get all your uniforms, get all your shots, all your checkups, and all that good stuff. And then from there, that next day you go ahead and you drop in, you take a PST. And at the time, I think we'd gotten like 3 hours of sleep. We had to be up by like 3:30 to like clean, because you have to get up, you have to clean first. Everything's got to be clean, so you had to clean, like sweep, mop, all that good stuff, get everybody dressed, and then we would have to march like an hour over to the pool to do our PST. And so I remember I went through the whole thing. I mean, we were all exhausted. We were barely making it there, but like they just told us you have to make the minimum requirement. I'm like, okay, that can't be too bad. And so swim's done, and then after the swim they do the cows, and then but I just remember I got up to the pull-up bar. I remember like, dang, I'm so tired. Like, oh my gosh, like I'm like 10 pull-ups. It never seems so hard in my life. And so they start calling out the pull-ups, and as soon as I get my chin over the bar, I come down, and it's just everything in my left arm just kind of went numb. I'm like, well, what the? And like this radiating pain just went all down my arm. I'm like, what the heck was that? And like I just kind of hung there for a second, and then they yell at you and they tell you keep going or get down. And so I try to keep going. I got a couple more, and then I come down, and like my entire arm was just like red hot and like all up into my trap, like up to my ear. I'm like, what is going on? And at the time, you're just like, there's so much going on. There's so much new, and there's so much kind of just like, I call it kind of like an IV of stress, where it's not super intense. It's just constant. And so, like, I'm just like, oh, like, whatever. And
does that paint a picture in your head?
You just
an IV of stress.
It's just a slow drip of cortisol, and you're just like, oh my, like you start to become like almost numb to it, which is, I mean, the props of the military, that's what they do best, right? And so it was crazy just to not even think about that. I just kind of wrapped my hand up in my shirt, and then we went for a run, and then I just didn't worry about it because I thought it was just, I was tired, I was sore, I just tweaked something, and then as that progressed on, the pain never went away, so I went and got checked out. I ultimately knew in my head that it was probably some sort of tear or something like that in my shoulder, and I ended up getting a couple MRIs, and this whole process, I mean, anything with the government takes months, right? So about a month and a half after I hurt myself that first week, they finally got my MRI results back, and they said, yeah, you have two options. We can either take away your seal rate, and you can just go do whatever we tell you to do, or we can kick you out and send you home. And I'm like, well, I can't stay and keep my seal rate. And they said, no, we can do physical therapy, but that doesn't guarantee you'll recover. And if we give you surgery, you'd be here for another year or two. And so I was like, okay, I'm not really interested in doing that at all. So then I could kickstart this process and do the separations where they gotta verify you as medically discharged or medically disabled through the VA, all this kind of boring stuff that we won't really get into. But long story short, I extended my what was supposed to be 8-week stay at boot camp to about 5 months. And during that time, it was just a lot of
So it was supposed to be 8 weeks.
Supposed to be 8 weeks,
And you're there 5 months.
I was there for 5 months. Yep. And so
excellent.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
great time.
Mm-hmm.
Learned a lot about myself. Learned a lot about being okay with things I can't control. I mean, and learned a lot about how to be patient. Talk about patient. Some of the stuff they make you do in there is hilarious, but
like what?
Anything
you can share?
Oh yeah, I mean, if any time we got in trouble, we'd have to just sit crisscross applesauce on the floor, and you couldn't move. You couldn't put your hands back or anything like that. That's dumb little stuff like that.
Yeah.
There was one time though we got in a lot of trouble because people would draw graffiti or do dumb stuff like that. We had to stand with our nose this close to the wall and just stare at the wall. And we would do that until we went to breakfast, then we came back and we did it till we went to lunch, and then came back and did it till we did dinner, and then went to bed. I mean, it was
it's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, it was hilarious.
Oh,
I mean,
my gosh.
we'd do dumb stuff like that all the time. But you learn. I mean, it's so much time to just kind of self-reflect and just kind of. I mean, you're just always in your head, just kind of talking to yourself, and I can see how people could go crazy, I guess. But it was. I learned a lot, and I think it made me much better for it, for sure.
Yeah, well, and then you were, at this point, I remember I had gotten a letter from you.
Yep.
Or two of them, at least. And you had said, I think God has different plans for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember, because when I was in there, most people would just kind of write, right? Because you were not really allowed to talk to each other, so we would just kind of sit in there and we would write just kind of to ourselves. I mean, I would just journal, or over there they had books you could read too sometimes, and we would read books in there, and it was crazy just because I would write out immediately. I just wish I could read more stuff about training and coaching. I'm like, where's super training when I need it? Who wants to read super training? I wanted to read super training when I was there. It would have been sweet. But I just remember I would draw out all these programs, and I was thinking about all this stuff I want to do when I get back, and I was like, I don't want this to happen to anybody else. I want to go back and I want to see if I can train people to either enter in the military or something like this, or just I would even write up athlete programs, and would think back to our stuff that we did for my RTB for my back and stuff like that. That was super cool to me, and I was like, I think this is I'm supposed to coach. I don't think this is for me.
Yeah.
And that became very clear very quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and when I would talk to you on the phone, and obviously getting the letters that I got from you, I could tell that you weren't right. You weren't in a good spot there, both literally and mentally.
Yeah.
So then, did you want to share with them? Because in an effort to cheer you up, I wrote you a letter.
Yeah. Yeah. That letter changed my life. It did. I remember I'd written you 1 or 2 times, and the way the mail works there, it's so funky. Sometimes you get stuff, sometimes you don't. So you just assume nothing's really going to come back, and if it does, it's just icing on the cake. So I remember I got one from you, and I was like, oh, I have no idea what it's going to say. And as soon as I looked at it, I'm like, okay, this is 100% from Hunter, because it was in such a you fashion. It was a story, and it was the tale of two wolves, and it talked about how we have this battle going on between us, and how there's this good and there's this evil side, and how ultimately you choose which one wins by the one you feed. And so it's just this super profound, just kind of story about this Indian and his grandson, and talking about these wolves. And I remember I took it right away, I folded it up and I put it in my Bible, because that's the one thing you could kind of keep out was your Bible. And so every single morning I would wake up and I would read that, and it would just remind me every day that it's gonna be okay. Like this can't last forever. And if you think it's this bad, then it's gonna get worse. So
yeah, I mean, there was
rocked me.
There was no letter.
Yeah.
It was just literally just a story.
Yeah,
that's it.
there
It
was
wasn't,
no,
hey,
hey,
Thomas
yeah,
is Hunter.
nothing,
Like, no, boom,
nothing.
story.
It was on like a little half sheet of paper, line paper. It was hilarious. Didn't even sign it.
Yeah. I tell stories.
Yeah, that's what you do best.
I tell
That's
stories.
what you do best.
All right. So now, I had started crafting some master plans in my head for as far as, you know, the future and you and business and all that stuff.
Oh, I had no idea about this, by the way.
And we had talked on the phone a couple times. You know, like, hey, we have Colton now, we have Carissa now, we have Kelly now. So I had 3 employees, and I was like, hey, I don't think I can pay you right away, but if you want to come back and do an internship, we'd love to have you.
Yes.
Once he did get out, and then one day he got out, and he didn't tell me, little shit, and then he showed up at the gym and, you know, surprised the shit out of me. I think I was drinking a Monster Zero.
Oh yeah,
Shout out Muscle Monster.
There you go.
Yeah, he was drinking it, and it's just everywhere, and I had to put it down.
Oh, yeah.
You're at the door. The front door's fucking locked. Right? I just got done taking a piss. Outside.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to go my workout, and then boom, there's fucking Thomas right there.
Yeah, I will not forget that. My little brother picked me up that morning. It was May 29th, at like 4 a.m, and drove me back. And I remember we were driving, the gym's on the way back to my house. So I was like, let's stop there. I know he's gonna be there. I didn't have my phone or anything like that, so I couldn't get a hold of you. But I wanted to surprise you anyway. I didn't want anyone to know. I only told like 2 people I was coming home, and so I remember we got there and your car was there, but you were in the bathroom. You were taking a piss for like 20 minutes. Like, dude, what's this guy doing? And so I just waited outside, and then next thing you know, you finally came out, and there you were. I mean, the noise that came out of you, and just like you said, you just pitched your monster. I mean, it was great. It was great. I mean, it was almost surreal to kind of come back.
And then so during that summer, this is already the summer of. This summer of 19.
19.
Yeah. Okay. And you know, I'm giving you more responsibility. You're basically coaching again at this point. Colton and Carissa are there, and I'm doing a lot of traveling during this time. A lot
all over the joint.
Yeah, a lot of consulting work going on, and you were getting more and more involved in the gym. You know, this was a hard time for me personally, right? I mean, this is, you know, whether it's people interacting with folks on the side. So now I'm starting, if you're wondering, like, okay, what the hell is this guy talking about right now? I'm starting to paint a bigger picture as for like my grand vision for, you know, for Thomas at the time and the gym and all that stuff. You know, so when parents and people who pay see you not there, right? See you like you consulting in Florida or in Virginia Beach or yada yada yada, right? They start to like, okay, well, you know, where's Hunter?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And you know that begins that you know, it's, you know, some people might be saying, oh well, congratulations, means you own a business, right? But you know, you guys have heard me speak, and if you listen to this podcast, it's now no longer a wonder as to whether or not I'm sensitive, right? And so that stuff got to me. That stuff really, really got to me. And of course, I couldn't say anything, right? Because this was part of the grand plan, right? Like, I wanted to start accruing some funds, so that I could ultimately, you know, just have you be in the position that you're in now,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that sucked. Like for that, they're talking about some bridges getting burned ultimately because I just couldn't share with them my vision, right?
Right.
Like, hey, I'm doing this because of this,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm leaving,
Yeah.
right? Like, so it's like
Yeah.
okay. You don't want to say that, so you just
Right.
kind of got to sit there and take on the chin. But and then so what else happened? So then Colton had told us that he was leaving.
Yes.
For Grand Canyon, and Carissa had decided to leave.
Yep.
And then at that point it was just me, you, and Colton.
Correct.
But mainly just you and Colton.
Yeah.
For the most part.
That was
Yeah.
You were traveling so much that I mean, you always say I gotta come sharpen the sword, and you'd pop in probably 3 days, 2 days a week, depending on the week. Also competing heavily at this time too.
Oh yeah.
You were in the thick of the outdoor season.
Yeah, sprinting.
Yeah. And so we were kind of just holding it down to the gym. We would just work in the evenings, train in the mornings.
Yep.
Just sales stuff during the day. And that was
Yep.
about it. Yeah.
And then one day I had showed you I'm not sure what the proper fucking vernacular is for the piece of paper they give you when you're like, oh hey, you bought a house.
It's like, isn't that your contract?
Yeah, something.
Is
that the word I'm looking for? Is it just as simple as that?
Down payment? I don't know.
Yeah. So I had sat you down at my house and I said, hey, I just bought a house in Arizona.
Yeah.
And
just like that.
Yeah, you were over the moon, or at least you had acted like you were, right? And you gave me a big hug.
Yeah.
Congratulations, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Right. And it was still but you were still under the impression, and I had not shared with you yet that no, like I'm like not only am I leaving Michigan, I'm leaving the business.
Yeah.
Too, because you were still under the impression that I was just going to be running the gym from Arizona.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And so after I told you that, and then I had to wait on me a little bit longer as far as I was talking to people like Andy McCloy and those other guys in my business group, like, hey, like, when is the right time to tell him that I'm like leaving, right? And ultimately bring my vision, if you will, into make it real.
Yeah.
And couldn't have been too long after that was there any reason why I said we need to go to Famous Dave's that night, like hey, let's go get lunch or let's go get dinner?
I do remember you said I need to talk to you, we need to go get dinner this weekend.
Okay.
Because I have something I need to talk to you about.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh jeez. And this has happened so many times, and but it was never anything like major. So I wasn't expecting something like anything like that. I was, because at the time you had talked about possibly selling it to other people and keeping me on. And so it was interesting. I was just like, oh, like as long as and you told me I would be taken care of, and I was like, I trust you, so I didn't even really think about it. And so we went to Famous Dave's. Yeah, I'd never been there before, but that's when we sat down and had a really good talk.
Yeah, and I said, I forget what I'm paraphrasing now. What I said, when I leave, right, Freak Factory's new owner will also be starting.
Yeah.
Right. So when I leave on such and such a date, well, no, here's what happened, right? Because originally the plan was that I was to leave in December.
Correct.
And then I decided to expedite things.
Yep.
And leave in end of August, early September. And so that was like the first like aha, like hey, I'm leaving sooner than you did. Yeah, I'm leaving even sooner. But the good news is
that's what it was.
Yep. Bad news is I'm leaving sooner.
Yes.
Good news is Freak Factory's new owner will start that same day I leave. Yes. And then when did it hit you that I was talking about you?
You literally had to tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're like, I want to give you Freak Factory. You're the new owner, and I'm like, what are you? And I just remember I'm like, what are you talking about? And then you just continued to kind of elaborate and just went on to say how you wanted to give me the business and you wanted to go do Charnesky Power out of Arizona.
Yeah.
And I mean, it didn't even register probably until like a few days later.
Yeah,
honestly.
I remember you saying, why are you doing this?
Yeah. I mean, I had no idea why you would even think to give it to me, and not just no strings attached, nothing. Like, here you go. Like, this is yours.
Yeah. And you know, like, it was just simple. Just wanted to pay it forward.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No.
Period.
I mean, 100%. And I think that's what you said. You just kind of, when I asked you, I'm like, why are you doing this? You just kind of took it in stride. You just started eating your food, and you're like, yeah, just paying it forward, and that was it. And I think we just changed the topic after that, honestly. And it was so, like I said, I mean, it just hit me like days later that I'm just like, oh my gosh, like what does this even mean? Like, I didn't even, I mean, I like it. On paper, yeah, I was going to be the business owner, but I didn't even know what that entailed. I had so many questions. I was just like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I remember asking you too. I was like, do you think I can even handle something like this? And you said, no, I know you can. And that's all I really needed to hear. But
yeah. And you know, you guys have heard me talk about all the good people in my life that have paid it forward to me, whether it be Gizzy, Shaw, Matt James, Jojo Ken, Andy McCoy, Mike Robertson, Derek Hansen, Bill Hartman. You know, then we can go on and on and on down that list. It's Brandon Lilly, Jeff Nichols, right? You know, people have been constantly paying forward to me for reasons I have no fucking idea. Right?
Yeah.
Right? But it's, you know, so I thought, well, you know what? Maybe it's my turn, right, to do something life-changing for somebody else. And that was really all I needed. And that was all the reassurance that I needed. Or if I needed a nudge to do it, it's like, oh, well, I mean, you know, people have been good to you, so you do it. Right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it's been, people look at me like I have 3 heads.
Yeah.
When, like, it's like, I'm sorry. Did you say you gave away your business?
Yeah.
Are you fucking retarded?
I can't even imagine the conversations we've had.
Yeah, like, it's just like, I mean, why did you do it? Like, it's okay. Well, I mean, he was worth it. He's worth it, right? You know, there's a reason why so the reasons why I was doing all that traveling and consulting was twofold, right? One, because I wanted to secure the quite frankly, I mean, call a spade, the fund, so I could afford to give it away. And then 2, also the part that talk about like it sucks was, you know, I had to get out of the way of some of the relationships that I had created with the kids. And I knew that if I was there, the ones that you weren't so close with wouldn't be able to cling to you.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
Because we all have, you know, Colton had his bunch, Chris had her bunch, right? You had your bunch, I had my bunch. But I knew if I wasn't going to be there, or if I was there, my bunch, right?
Absolutely.
Would continue to be my bunch. And so, like, then all of a sudden one day, if I just rip the Band-Aid off and I'm not there, what happens to them? Do we no longer able to help them because there wasn't a relationship established with you, right? So when that sucked when I had to leave, and I'm just like, I just need to trust, and I know that Thomas will take care of my bunch, and they will fall in love with Thomas, and everything will be okay. So that sucked.
You know what sucked the worst was I would see this on your side, and I saw how much this kind of weighed on you, but then nobody really else understood it, right? Because like you said, you were holding back that big picture, and so to watch you kind of have to suffer like that, almost like kind of in silence by yourself, it was tough. And I'm like, I can't imagine how much that must have sucked, because you had such good intentions, and just no one realized it.
Oh yeah. And that's what they don't tell you about owning a business. They won't tell you that in school, kids. Yeah, that's something you got to figure out the hard way. Yeah. But so I leave. My vision is complete at this point, right? It's like, okay, well, now where are we now? So Thomas is the owner of Freak Factory.
That is correct.
And you right now you wear a lot of hats.
Yeah, I wear most of the hats, for sure. Right now, it's currently just me, coaching. We do have an adult coach, so she does all our morning kind of lunchtime hour groups for our adult fitness program. But then, as far as athletes concerned, I'm at every session.
So if you needed any further reason to decide that Thomas is indeed a better human being than I am. Did you just hear the words that you said? You said adult training program. Okay, that doesn't exist without a nice guy at the helm. The adult training program did not ever go well under me because I don't have any patience at all.
They're different. They're different than athletes.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
So if you needed any further proof, the man is an adult training program. You need to be a very kind person to have that.
No, they're good people. They're fun to work with. But no, just because of time constraints, obviously, I don't see a whole lot of them. I'll try to bop in for like one session with the adults once a week, just to kind of keep them honest. But no, I love it though. I mean, the coaching the athletes. I mean, I think that's at the heart of it. That's what I am as a coach, as well as a business owner now. But that's I'm starting to like that more and more for sure as I learn more about it and kind of get my feet wet.
What about the business side gets you enthused?
Oof, I'm always kind of been a day-to-day planner, but now I like kind of more bigger vision, bigger picture ideas. That's starting to excite me a little bit, and kind of trying to like reverse engineer things to kind of where we are now to fit our future goals. I think that's a ton of fun.
Yeah, because I mean, at that point, then you're just creating the future.
Correct.
Which is cool.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's so cool. A lot of fun.
And if anybody doesn't follow Thomas, be sure to do that because your man has hopped on the sprint or die train.
Oh, heavy.
Yeah,
heavy in the sprint or die train. Cannot get enough of it. Seriously.
He just hired who else?
Derek Hansen
to be his coach.
As my coach. Yep.
Right.
I'm gonna go see him in December as well when we go out to when I go to see you. In
Shameless plug. Yeah. The RMP is coming to Phoenix. The running mechanic professional. That's Derek's course. Of course, I love speed, but you guys all know that I think of Derek as the face of speed on planet Earth. So that'll be December 20th to 29th, I believe, at Grand Canyon University. So definitely, other than to see me, of course, then there's going to be some great content there.
Amazing. It's going to be sweet. I'm super excited.
Yeah. So you're sprinting.
I'm sprinting.
So what's the goal?
The goal, I want to run a 60 at the indoor.
Oh, yeah.
In February coming up here.
Sure.
Let's kind of see. I've never been fast, ever. So, I played goalkeeper my entire life. I was early specialization to the core, soccer my whole life. So I never got a chance to ever open it up. I was never in really good shape. I was never really fast. So I wanted to kind of see how fast I could be if you put me in a race situation. But also that's how we train most of our athletes. So for me, I've always comfortable teaching what I know best. And so I think the only way for me to know it better, besides just studying it and watching tapes and whatnot, would be to do it.
It sounds a lot like somebody I might know.
Yeah, I don't know who I stole that from, but he's pretty smart.
Okay.
But no, I very, very much so learning by doing is the best way for me to learn and the best way for me to kind of buy in myself and then use that to buy in with my athletes. But it's crazy. I mean, it's almost like cheating.
It's a feel thing.
Yeah.
It's a feel thing. It's for sure as far as you being able to communicate what the athletes should be feeling at certain points, whether it be with this certain drill or acceleration into max velocity, or even that first initial push, right?
Yes.
Off the line, how to be powerful, not feel powerful, all that stuff. And so with the 60 meter, that'll be in February.
Correct.
Are you looking past that right now, or are you just
not right now? Okay. And me and Derek I told Derek that ultimately I'd like to try to open it up and do an 100. But I'm not really crunched for competing. I'm not trying to pressure myself or pick a date and hard and fast where I need to do this. But I just want to kind of see what I can do, where I'd even be at. I've never, like I said, I sprint by myself every day, so it's not like I'm racing against other people, anything like that. So I really have no idea how to stack up. So I'd just like to see.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah. So, what else, man? So sprinting.
Well, you were here all week. We got to train the entire week together. We still got one more day tomorrow.
Yeah. So we've been training here. I'm in. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm in Michigan right now. Came back home to see some folks and obviously see Thomas and get it in with him. That's one of the best things in the world.
Oh yeah,
training, right?
Seriously,
unreal.
The best part.
But So anything that you want to leave the listeners with, as far as like anything big coming up for you or the business that people should be aware of? Obviously, Thomas is the owner of Freak Factory now. At Freak Factory, FAKTORY is their Instagram. He's doing a great job there. And what's I don't even know your new handle now on Instagram.
This is my name, Thomas Bowes, one word with the letter D on the end of it.
Okay, so Thomas Bowes D.
Correct.
Okay,
that's it.
Yeah, and anything you want to leave them with as far as what's going on with you? Anything that they need to be made aware of? Updates?
No, nothing crazy. I mean, just everything at Freak Factory is going great. Like you said, they can give us a follow there. Check us out. Doing good things, hopefully. I mean, just trying to make an impact and trying to make better athletes.
Okay.
That's all I got, man.
And I'm gonna ask you this, just because I want to put you in the spot a little bit.
Okay.
So since the business has been yours, what's been your biggest lesson as being a business? Because there are some people who listen as far as they are business owners or they're aspiring to be. So what would be your biggest takeaway or lesson that you've learned since being the owner?
Get out of your own way. No question.
Really?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's that you want to do such a good job and you want to make sure everything's done right, that you want to oversee everything. You want to be at every session. You want to make sure whoever's doing your CMR is doing a good job, and you want to be CC'd on all these things. It's like, well, no, you don't. Like delegate and elevate. Big fan of that. I just think that if you just kind of give people a chance to do their job and give them a chance to kind of succeed, then they'll do so, and you don't have to worry about it. And it's the same thing that you did with me, right? You let me make so many mistakes, and like looking back at that now, like at the time I had no idea what was going on, but now knowing what I know now, it's like that's going to need to happen, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's a good tip for sure. It's something that I had a really hard time doing, for sure.
Yeah.
And you can tell that you've done a great job of that, because the gym literally looks way different since I've been gone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So no, that's a great tip. Get out of your own way. Yeah. Delegate and elevate will be the way that we'll end this. So
love it.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. If you feel that anybody listening or anybody that you might know will get value out of this, go ahead and give it a share. Like us, review us on YouTube. If you feel like we deserve a 5-star review, go ahead and do so at iTunes. And talk to you guys next time. Peace. Take it easy.
This week's episode of Sprint or Die Radio has now come to an end. Make sure to set your podcatcher now and never miss another second. And remember, passion perpetuates purpose. Join us again next time.